Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 75 based on novel. So let's start. Tears welled in Wu Zhangkong's eyes as he recalled the years he spent under this strict teacher. A teacher is a father, yet I. Follow me. Shueisha furrowed his brow, then turned around and entered the inner court. Teacher. Hearing Wu Zhongkong call out, Shueisha stopped moving. I was wrong. Shueisha's large body went stiff for a moment before he continued walking, this time moving even faster. Wu Zhongkong stumbled as he stood up, his legs numb. Tang Wulin hastened to support him and help him into the inner court. Welcoming green grass covered the ground of the inner court, and various trees and shrubs encompassed the area. A set of majestic sculptures stood a bit farther in. Tang Wulin instantly recognized them as depictions of the first generation of the Shrek 7 monsters, legendary figures who were also spoken of in the annals of the Tang sect. The likenesses of 3 middle-aged people stood in front of those 7 legendary figures, 2 men and 1 woman. Already familiar with the story of Shrek Academy, it only took Tang Wulin a moment to guess their identities. These 3 were the true founders of Shrek Academy. In the center stood Flander, the first president of Shrek Academy. The man to his left was the one known as Grandmaster, the teacher of Tang San, Yu Xiaogang. On the right was Liu Erlong. Together, they were known as the Golden Iron Triangle. They were the ones who founded Shrek Academy with the help of the first generation of Shrek 7 monsters. Shueisha stopped in front of the sculptures and bowed. Wu Zhongkong and Xin Yi did the same. Following their lead, Tang Wulin and his teammates bowed as well. After everyone paid their respects, Shueisha turned left onto a small path. As he walked, Tang Wulin discovered that an azure lake lay beyond the towering trees. The lake was clear as crystal. Night had already fallen by now, and the lake water glistened under the moonlight as mist hung around the surrounding plants to create a scene of pure tranquility. Tang Wulin instantly liked this place. It's so peaceful here. Shueisha waved a hand, sending out a wave of red light that enveloped everyone. One moment Tang Wulin's feet were placed firmly on the ground. In the next, he found himself in a completely different place. Everyone was now on a small island in the middle of the lake. An island? Could this be the legendary Sea God's Island? Countless rumors about Shrek Academy circulated throughout the continent. They included whisperings about the most important part of Shrek Academy, as well as its core, Sea God's Island. It was said that Sea God's Island sat in the center of Sea God's Lake. In addition to that, one other place in Shrek Academy was called Sea God's Pavilion. All of Shrek Academy's most important decisions were made in Sea God's Pavilion. In other words, whatever was decided there would send waves throughout the continent. Tang Wulin had never even dared to imagine he would be able to visit Sea God's Island so soon. Viridian trees and shrubs sprouted everywhere on the island, as if it were a miniature forest. Shueisha led them further into the island. After climbing 2 hills, they arrived at a 2-story wooden house. He opened the door, and warm light flooded from within. This is his home. Wu Zhongkong stopped at the doorway, a conflicted look in his eyes. Come in already, Shueisha called out. Wu Zhongkong sucked in a deep breath, bowed his head, and entered. His 4 students followed closely behind. The house was decorated in a simple manner. Everything was crafted from wood, including the worn chair that Shueisha sat down in. Xin Yi, tomorrow, take these kids to get registered. Tang Wulin gets a full score. Calculate the points for the other 3 as usual. Shueisha shifted his gaze to the 4 students. From this moment onward, you are working students of the outer court. Yes, Xin Yi responded quickly. Are you going to leave now that you've brought them here? Shueisha glanced at Wu Zhongkong. It was then that Wu Zhongkong dropped to his knees. I won't run anymore, teacher, he said. Even if I have to work part-time, I want to stay. I won't run. My only request is that you allow me take care of you. I've come to understand that a person can't live for themselves alone. I made a mistake back then, and now I wish to spend the rest of my life making up for it. He lowered his head to the floor, kowtowing. Please allow me to stay, teacher. Before returning to Shrek Academy, Wu Zhongkong had stubbornly held onto his past grudges. After arriving in this familiar place, however, those grudges washed away when he saw how much his teacher had aged. Shueisha was dumbstruck. Never had he expected Wu Zhongkong to say such words. It was exactly as Elder Cai had said. Like teacher, like student. Shueisha understood just how stubborn Wu Zhongkong was. He had just picked up Wu Zhongkong, an orphan, while out on a stroll one day. Since Shueisha had always pursued the pinnacle of strength, he had very few disciples, all of whom he considered his own children. But of them all, Wu Zhongkong was undoubtedly his favorite. Only he could match Shueisha's stubbornness. He even aimed for the pinnacle of strength as well. Yet despite his stubborn nature, Wu Zhongkong sincerely acknowledged his mistake. Never in his wildest dreams would Shueisha have imagined this. The Wu Zhongkong he knew would choose death rather than lower his head. Teacher, Xinyi tugged at Shueisha's sleeve, pleading with her eyes. Fine, you can stay, Shueisha said indifferently. I need someone to make tea and keep the house tidy anyway. Thank you, teacher. Wu Zhongkong rejoiced. The four students quietly exchanged knowing looks. Although they were still children and weren't exactly sure what happened between their teacher and their grand teacher, they were smart enough to see that Shueisha was firm in speech but soft in heart. Tang Wulin secretly signaled to his companions and the four of them hurriedly said, Thank you, grand teacher. Wu Zhongkong stood up and walked over to stand at Shueisha's side. His icy eyes had thawed and were now full of vigor. It was the first time Tang Wulin had ever seen his teacher so passionate. Shueisha nodded, then looked at Tang Wulin. You will visit me once a week so I can examine you. Your body is very strange. Despite the fact that your martial soul is just blue-silver grass, your blood essence is extremely robust. I paid careful attention to the changes in your body while you were forging and I'm certain you don't have a second martial soul. That golden soul ring's power seems to be a special soul ring that came from your blood. I think you're somewhat similar to me. After you've settled in, come visit me next week when you have a day off, and I will inspect your body. Yes. Thank you, Grand Teacher, Tang Wulin said, barely able to contain his joy. He could clearly tell that this Grand Teacher of his was a major figure in Shrek Academy. Shueisha swept his gaze over Xu Xiaoyan, Xie Xie, and Ji Yu Yu. All of you will need to work hard. Just as Elder Cai said, you will be working students since you were late to the exam. In order to enter the inner court, you have to become one-word battle armor masters by the time you turn 20. You have a long way to go and 6 years left to do it. Rest here tonight and Xinyi will take you to complete the registration process in the morning. Yes. Thank you, Grand Teacher. Of the four students, Shueisha clearly considered Tang Wulin the most important, a fact that made even Xie Xie green with envy. But in any case, they had succeeded. They were now Shrek Academy students. They could hold their heads high and proclaim themselves as part of Shrek Academy. As for becoming a one-word battle armor master before they turned 20, that was a daunting task. Becoming a one-word battle armor master meant having at least 5 soul rings. Shueisha turned around and began climbing the stairs. Xinyi gave Wu Zhongkong a meaningful look. Only then did he go and help Shueisha up the stairs. Instead of struggling free from Wu Zhongkong's arms, Shueisha simply accepted the help. After many years apart, the troubles between master and disciple seemed to have been resolved. Seeing that her grand teacher and teacher had left, Xu Xiaoyan slid over to Xinyi's side and asked, What's going on between teacher and grand teacher? Did something happen in the past? Xinyi glanced at her. It was just a difference in beliefs, she answered. In a sense, your teacher was not in the wrong. However, neither was your grand teacher. The troubles between them arose from a combination of many different factors, but they've resolved the issue now, so everything is well. Come, I'll bring you kids to somewhere you can rest. I'll have you know, not even inner court disciples have the privilege to come to see God's island. You should consider yourselves lucky to have this opportunity. With Wu Zhongkong and Shueisha settling their differences, Xinyi was in a stellar mood and was, without a doubt, the person most pleased with this outcome. GUU, remember to be conscious of your behavior, especially within the academy. In front of the countless seniors who have experienced world-shaking events, we are nothing. It's essential that you pay your respects to them, otherwise your stay here won't be long. Moreover, your companions will be affected too. Got it? GUU nodded silently. Tang Wulin pulled her hand. GUU, Teacher Shen is right. You were too impulsive today. Elder CAI was only testing my strength in the 4th trial, I wasn't injured at all. Teacher Shen, can I trouble you to bring us to Elder CAI later to apologize? Shen Yi stared at him in shock. This kid is just too mature. When Tang Wulin had first started forging, his father had thoroughly drilled this lesson into his head, and as he grew older and broadened his horizons, his maturity surpassed his peers. Besides, he was the captain of Class 0. As the leader, he always had to consider what was best for his team. It was precisely because of both his maturity and leadership that GUU, Xie and Xu Xiaoyan accepted his decision so willingly. GUU furrowed her brow slightly, puffing her cheeks in an adorable pout. Tang Wulin looked her directly in the eyes and said, I know you acted for my sake, but we're a team, GUU. Your actions affect the rest of us too, just like how my deep meditation forced us to become working students. Don't be so stubborn. Elder CAI wants you as her disciple because she saw how talented you are. This is an amazing opportunity for you. It's not easy to become a one-word battle armor master by 20, you know. Having such a great teacher would be an amazing stroke of luck for you. Under his sincere gaze, GUU couldn't do anything but lower her head and quietly mutter, I'm sorry, I was impulsive today. I want to go apologize to Elder CAI. Tang Wulin smiled at her words, reaching out to give her a big hug. That's the way. Though GUU blushed crimson, she did not push him away. Xie sauntered over, a sly smirk tugging his lips. Yeah, that's the way. He opened up his arms. GUU's leg shot out. Go away. Xie dodged, immediately grumbling, you're so biased. How come you let Captain hug you? Because he's handsome, GUU stated matter-of-factly. Yeah, that's right. Captain is way handsomer than you. Xu Xiaoyan also did not forget to dig deeper into Xie. Shen Yi smiled as she watched their antics. They reminded her of herself at their age, bouncing with excitement when she was first admitted to Shrek Academy. All right. We're registering tomorrow and you'll need to be alert, so go sleep early. Being a working student isn't an easy thing. Shen Yi's words seemed to carry some hidden meaning. The wooden house didn't have many rooms, so the boys shared one room while the girls shared another. Wu Zhongkong also didn't reappear again that night. The instant they hit the bed, they fell into a deep sleep. It had been a long day for them. Of the 4, Tang Wulin was the last to enter meditation. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, he looked down at his hand. Golden light burst from his palm and, an instant later, his spirit-refined heavy silver hammers appeared within them. Tang Wulin reveled in this magical sensation. Now that it was connected to him by blood, it had become an extension of his own body. Although mechas were powerful, first-grade 1000 refined metals were the strongest materials they could be made from. Even then, that would just be a first-rate mecha. If spirit-refined metals were to be used to create a mecha, soul masters would need to be involved in the creation process. That very fact, as well as the sheer size of a mecha, made such an endeavor practically impossible. Mu Chen had told Tang Wulin that though blacksmiths were viewed as less important than mecha designers, makers, and mechanics, they were indispensable for creating battle armor. In fact, the first battle armor prototypes wouldn't have existed without the discovery of spirit refining. Mechas, with their bulk, couldn't fuse with a person. Battle armor, on the other hand, mold to a soul master's body and could perfectly fuse with and improve the user's abilities. Battle armors were like a circuit carved into the user's martial soul that granted the martial soul its own set of armor and sublimating it. With the advent of battle armor, humanity's strength soared onto a whole different level. However, their newfound superiority also drove soul beasts to the brink of extinction. The spirit pagoda was originally established to mediate peace between humans and soul beasts. However, for the sake of their research into the invention of artificial spirit souls, there was a period of time where the spirit pagoda slaughtered countless soul beasts with the Federation's support. Under the relentless pursuit for science, the soul beast world crumbled. The value of soul beasts plummeted with the invention of spirit souls, and with the spirit pagoda's current research speed, they would only need another few thousand years to create 10,000-year spirit souls. Golden lines swirled around the spirit-refined heavy silver hammers, similar to the ones on Tang Wulin when he cultivated. A golden dragon could be faintly discerned on the hammers, but rather than a pattern, it seemed to be a living entity as it roamed around the hammers. This was clearly the effect of their blood connection. Spirit refining granted metal life and made it a part of one's own body. If one were to evolve it into soul refined, it would then be a part of one's martial soul. Soul refining was akin to forging one's own martial soul into a higher realm. It was for this reason that saint blacksmiths were revered throughout the continent. Their status was no less than that of a three-word battle armor master, because without them, three-word battle armors would never exist. As for divine blacksmiths, Tang Wulin could only imagine what sort of realm that was. Even Mu Chen could not explain it to Tang Wulin, as he himself didn't know what it was like. It was his life's goal to reach that level. With Tang Wulin's recent success in spirit refining, it meant he could now forge his own battle armor. Not only that, he had set his sights on not one-word, but two-word battle armor. As for why he set his goal so high, it was because he understood now that battle armor didn't have such strict soul power requirements, just like how he could spirit refine despite only having 2 soul rings. For a blacksmith to even attempt spirit refining, the normal standard was 4 soul rings, as only then would they have enough the necessary life force to sustain the entire process. Yet he had succeeded with only 2 soul rings. This feat was only possible due to the combination of his innate divine strength, talent, profound understanding of the metal, and his blood essence soul ring. If that was the case, then perhaps the soul power requirement he needed for battle armor would be lower too. At the very least, it couldn't hurt to try. A set of battle armor wasn't made all at once. Each item was made piece by piece. He decided to start experimenting with the simplest part. Tang Wulin brimmed with confidence now that he was successful at spirit refining and firmly believed that he didn't need 5 soul rings to become a one-word battle armor master. With his blood essence soul ring, he could make it with just 4 soul rings. Besides, since he could already spirit refine, he wouldn't settle for just one-word battle armor. It would be a waste of time to start there. Instead, it was more efficient to make 2-word battle armor that could continue to evolve with spirit-refined metal. Once that time came, he could immediately name his battle armor with 2 words. Teacher Wu's battle armor is called Sky Ice, which means his Sky Ice Wu Zhongkong. So, what should I call my battle armor then? Tang Wulin's blood raced at the thought. He looked forward to the day he obtained his own battle armor. He didn't know when he began meditating, but when he awoke, the sun already shone through the window. He had meditated longer than usual and missed his chance to train his purple demon eyes this morning. However, Tang Wulin could clearly feel that his cultivation speed was faster than it was before. You up? Xie said. Come on, let's go eat. Xie, can you feel that? Tang Wulin asked suspiciously. Xie nodded and smiled. I knew you would ask. I feel it too. This sea god's island is extraordinary. The energy here is far thicker than outside. I bet this island is connected to how Shrek Academy is capable of producing so many powerful experts. The speed of our cultivation would increase significantly if we could stay here and cultivate. Why don't you go see if Grand Teacher will let us stay longer? Maybe he'll let us live here. Keep dreaming. Tang Wulin wasn't amused. Shrek Academy's rules are very strict, you know. Anyway, let's get going. Aren't we gonna eat? I'm about to starve to death. He only had 1 full meal the day before, and that consisted of the steamed buns from the 6th trial. Those buns didn't pack anywhere near enough nutrition for him. The wooden table in the living room held a spread of food. The others were already eating when the 2 boys arrived. Shuasha pointed at the seat beside him. Come sit, Wulin. Okay. Tang Wulin went over to sit. Shuasha then pointed at a bamboo basket on the table. Jongkong told me you have a big stomach, so let's see how much of this basket you can finish. Inside of the basket were odorless, black objects. Tang Wulin couldn't figure out what they were, but he knew they didn't look appetizing. All right, he said. There were 20 black objects in total. They resembled fist-sized steamed buns. It would be apt to call them black steamed buns. Tang Wulin scoffed inwardly at the food. This is nothing to my stomach. He quickly grabbed 2 buns in each hand. It was now a habit of his to grab as much food as he could at a time. Considering his voracious appetite, he would waste too much time if he ate slowly. Tang Wulin took a bite of a bun. It was tender and sticky, had a decent texture, gave off the faintest trace of a fishy aroma. No matter how he considered it, this bun could not be called delicious. However, after chewing it a bit more and swallowing, his expression changed. He felt a clear wave of warmth travel down his throat and spread throughout his body. His blood essence seemed to react to this and surge toward the source. As it did, that warmth instantly dispelled some of his hunger. This is good stuff. When Tang Wulin was at East Sea Academy, he ate food from the first window every day, so he naturally knew that if he ate more nourishing food, he wouldn't have to eat as much. Yet these seemingly unimpressive black steamed buns were the most nutrient-packed food he'd ever eaten. Although he didn't actually know what they were, he knew for a fact that they could fill him up. After 2 more bites, the bun disappeared into his stomach. Several more bites later and his hands were empty. Tang Wulin happily patted his stomach as he smiled at Shuasha and grabbed for more buns. Can you really digest all of that? Overeating isn't good for your body. Shuasha furrowed his brow. I should be able to. Thank you, Grand Teacher. Since Tang Wulin had exhausted his blood essence and only eaten 1 meal the previous day, there was no way he would let such great food out of his grasp. Shuasha's narrowed eyes slowly widened in shock as he observed Tang Wulin's blood essence grow stronger and stronger with each bun he ate. Shuasha could even hear the pulse of Tang Wulin's blood and aura strengthening. This change was completely unrelated to soul power. The cause of everything was his blood essence. Your bloodline is truly extraordinary, boy. Only after Tang Wulin swallowed the 16th bun did he finally stop eating. Is he full now? Shuasha thought. The buns were just too filling. Tang Wulin felt his blood essence surge through his body like a raging river. He was now in peak condition. He felt relaxed as his soul power circulated throughout his body, unable to eat any more. If I can eat this stuff every day, it'll be much easier to break my seals. All of a sudden, old Tang's voice echoed in Tang Wulin's head. These are fantastic. You'll benefit from them greatly if you can eat them daily. You might even be able to break the 3rd seal without spirit items. Tang Wulin looked at Shuasha with shining eyes. Grand Teacher, may I eat these every day? Shuasha's face twitched. You can have the rest. After saying this, he stood up and left. Puzzled, Tang Wulin turned to Wu Zhongkong. Teacher, did I say something rude? Wu Zhongkong made a strange face at him. Shen Yi, who was beside him, spoke up. These are teacher's monthly rations. He usually only lets himself eat 1 per day, she said. Do you have any idea what those black steamed buns are? They are made from a deep-sea fish that lives 3 kilometers underwater. This fish isn't a soul beast either, so you can imagine how strong it must be to survive at such a depth. Only elders of the Sea God's Pavilion are given the privilege of eating these buns, yet you actually ate more than half of teacher's monthly share. And you even have the guts to ask if you can eat them every day. Such a thing would only be possible if all of the elders yielded their shares to you. Tang Wulin scratched his head awkwardly. Then I'll leave the rest for Grand Teacher. Teacher told you to take them, so just take them. Shen Yi smiled warmly. An old man like him wouldn't be upset over something as trivial as this. When you have a free day next week, Wu Zhongkong will bring you over here to visit. It seems your grand teacher is quite fond of you since you two are so similar. Yes. After eating breakfast, Shinyi brought the 4 students off the island on a boat. Wu Zhongkong chose to stay, so they waved goodbye to him before leaving. Sea God's Lake was even more breathtaking during the day. Refreshing air lingered around it, the rippling waters like a giant sapphire embedded into the earth as sunlight reflected off its surface. After leaving Sea God's Lake and the inner court, they ventured back to the outer court school building. A whole day had passed since they had taken the entrance exam. You will have to work harder than others as working students, Shinyi said as she walked. Normal students only have to pay 20% of the tuition since it's subsidized for them. You, however, will have to pay the entire tuition through doing jobs for the academy. For example, the most basic task could be to sweep the campus. Of course, you could take some jobs related to your secondary profession too. Teacher Shen, is the tuition expensive? Tang Wulin asked. Shinyi glanced at him. Very. Shrek Academy grants you access to resources impossible to obtain anywhere else. These resources are invaluable, so working students will have to take on many jobs to pay off their fees each year. Don't worry, the administration will arrange things for you all. Although it wasn't their first time there, the 4 were still awed by the grandeur of the main school building. Shinyi brought them to the administration to handle their registration and enlist them in their class. A scholarly administrator in his 50s issued each of them a dark green school uniform after completing their enrollment. Don't bring shame to the working students, he said. Don't bring shame to the working students. What does he mean by that? As clever as Tang Wulin was, he couldn't comprehend the meaning behind the administrator's words. He sent a questioning look at Shinyi, but she simply smiled and shook her head. She clearly had no intentions of explaining. Your first job is to clean Spirit Ice Plaza. The deadline is before dusk. The middle-aged administrator spoke in a bored manner. Clean the plaza? I can't even see the end of the plaza. Dispose of any trash and mop the floor. Not a single speck of dust is to be seen, otherwise points will be deducted. Their enrollment was complete now that they were assigned a job. They were then led to their dormitory. To be precise, they were brought to the dormitory for working students. This video will end here.